Hello, everyone. My name is Sean Moerity, and welcome to the first official episode of the Open Tab podcast. Now, what you guys are about to see is the kind of stuff that I really wanted to do on this channel since rebranding. So far, there hasn't been much as far as what I've wanted to do, just a couple of short videos. And of course, there's been all the wrestling stuff that I've been doing for friends back home. And that stuff is not going to go away. But what you're about to see is the kind of stuff that I've really wanted to do. And that is have interviews, talk politics, talk social issues, and things like that. And I've got a treat for you guys for this first episode. This past weekend, I had a nice sit down with an old friend of mine by the name of Theodore Shoebat. Him and his father, Waleed Shoebat, they run a website called Shoebat.com. It's a Christian website, Christian blog. Ted also has his own YouTube channel, and I'll post the links to those in the description box below. And we had a nice discussion for 3 hours. And so what I've decided to do for this first episode is to break it down into 3 parts. So what you're about to see will be part 1. And just to give you guys a little a little heads up on something. So Ted was recording this live, or he was going live on his end, and myself, I just planned to do a pre-recorded video. So about 12 minutes in or so, I realized that I hadn't hit the record button. So for about that first 10 to 12 minutes, you're just going to see Ted talking, but you'll hear me. And then after that, you'll see both of us on a screen together. So little error on my part, but still we had a great discussion, and you guys are going to want to catch all 3 parts. So with that said, here is the first episode of the Open Tab podcast and my 3rd interview with Theodore Shoebat. Enjoy.
Ted, how's it going?
Good. Yourself? Can you hear me?
Oh, loud and clear, dude.
Awesome. Yes, I'm live streaming right now. Do you mind if I in the interview? Do you mind if I smoke a pipe or no?
Go right ahead. I'd have a cigar if I could smoke in this house, which I rent. But that's the unfortunate part. I rent, so I can't smoke one here.
I understand. But yeah, that's it's been a while since I've been on your show. I think the last time I was on your show was like 5 years ago or something.
Something like that, yeah.
That was a while back.
Well, the thing is, I've pretty much, I don't want to say abandoned this channel, but the other one that I do with my buddy, the sports one, we've been really focusing more on that.
I gotcha. Yeah, you have a sports channel. I think it's like the Irish Brothers or something like that.
Yeah, the Irish Brothers, Notre Dame football, and yeah. Mm-hmm. I know you're not a big football guy, but yeah, that's what we talk about, and we're trying to grow that. And mm-hmm. Basically, this channel has just been trying to figure out what to do with it since the rebrand, and doing a lot of these wrestling video game things for friends. So
you're playing wrestling games?
Yeah.
What game is it?
Just Raw versus SmackDown 2006. So we're going. Wow. We're going ancient times.
That's old. Is that on PlayStation?
PS2.
PS2.
That I'm still playing a PS2, man. I haven't gotten any new systems.
Well, the way that games are going nowadays, I can't blame you because everything's digitized.
Yeah.
Everything is digitized, and so now a lot of times you buy the game in a digital form, so you don't really own a hard copy of the game.
Yeah, I know.
And it sucks.
I miss that.
Yeah.
I miss that. Being able to actually get a physical copy and put it in, and there's just something about that is just nostalgic in itself.
I love it. Yeah, I always will buy hard copies of games. Nintendo Switch, it's everything is a hard copy.
Yeah, sometimes the hard copy is more. It can actually be more reliable because if you're, well, I know you've talked about your internet before. If that goes down, you're screwed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I hate that. Almost every game nowadays requires internet connection. Hate that. I have a game from 2009. It's called Total War Medieval 2, and I still play that game. And the great thing about that game is I'll pause the game, save it, I'll get out, and I can resume from where I left off months later. I'll go back to a game months later. It's a little slow. Computer's a little slow today. I don't know why. But I'll go back to the game months later, and it's still on the same pause screen. Nothing changes. Nothing.
I'll be darned. That's crazy.
Yeah, nothing changes because it's an old game.
Yeah. Well, the craziest thing I had experience like that was there was this one game that I had bought back in 2002. Mm-hmm. Long story short, the copy got destroyed, and PlayStation 2s, you're still using memory cards. Mm-hmm. So I buy a new copy years later, but for some reason that new copy didn't register the file or didn't recognize the file that I had saved. So I had to start from scratch. So that's the weirdest thing I've experienced as far as that stuff goes.
Yeah. I remember I had a GameCube and we had memory cards and actually maybe not with GameCube, but with I remember with Nintendo 64 there was a memory card that you needed sometimes, which was strange.
Yeah, I never had an N64, so I couldn't tell you that.
Yeah, I remember Donkey Kong. You needed I'll never forget. I don't know why I still remember this, but I remember with Donkey Kong 64, for some strange reason, you needed a memory card to play that game. I don't know why.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I think I played Donkey Kong once and I stopped after like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't a very fun game.
Yeah, so you're all.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it was hard for me to get into. Oh, that's all right. I just want to know, can your audience hear me now?
Yeah, they can hear you. My audio's working. I'm looking at my soundboard right now, and everything is registering. So.
Okay. Well, not just for that, but to all your audience, I want to say hello. My name is Sean. For a little bit about me, I've been listening to Ted here for almost 13 years now. Mm-hmm. As crazy as that sounds, that's how long I've been following you and your work.
Sean's one of the OGs.
And of course, OGs. Exactly, the OG, mm-hmm. The OG dog. But no, it's because of you, man. I know I've told you this before. You encouraged me at a time when a lot of us Christians were afraid to speak out on mm-hmm. things.
I appreciate it
because it was hard to. I mean, it really was hard to speak out, and you were actually comfort for me knowing that I could do that.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that.
And doing that, and doing that not only helped me feel good to be able to speak my faith on things and my true thoughts on things instead of having to hide it. It also really helped show me who my real friends are mm-hmm. and who's actually there in your corner. And so naturally, of course, you want to surround yourself with people that are exactly like that. You want to surround yourself with people who you can rely on and so on and so forth. Well, and also I want to real quick, how long do I have you for before we go any further?
As long as you want. I'm on Saturday, so I can go for an hour, go 2 hours if you'd like.
Okay. Well, I have nothing going on and I'm single. So what does that tell you?
There you go. Well, we're both single here, so it doesn't. It's a mutual agreement here. Now some people are asking, what's my tobacco? I'm smoking a Colonial Pastime, which is I'm guessing some kind of mixture of different blends, but it's a blend of different tobaccos probably. But I just want to say hi, Master Driver, Monochromatic Blues, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, Baron Squash, Felipe, Professor Raphael, and everyone else, Mr. E. Ketting, and everyone else. Yeah, so Sean has been listening to me since really almost since the beginning when I was YouTubing, and back in the day, what Sean is referring to. So Sean is saying that back, there was a lot of people that were kind of discouraged from speaking their mind on certain things. But what he's referring to is how back in the day, back in like 2013, mm-hmm. It was like the whole. I don't know if people remember this because we're still talking about how wokeism has been destroyed or conquered. But back in the day, people, the whole gay agenda was massively popular. Yeah, 2013. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it was when you called the bakeries is when I first discovered you.
Right. Okay. So yeah, 2013 was a time when the gay agenda was dominating America. It was dominating America, and it was dominating America to the point where you had, I mean, evangelical Christians who were saying, "Oh, we gotta love them, we gotta love them, we gotta love Sodom," and if you spoke out against Sodom in a way that was, how should I put it, medieval. If you were going medieval against Sodom, and if you were talking in a way, if you were speaking like a medieval monk, all right, against Sodom, saying it's antichrist, it must be destroyed, it's evil, etc., the evangelicals went against you. They totally went against you, and they would say things like, "Well, we gotta love them, and then you would quote the Old Testament. And they would say, "Well, that's the Old Testament. We're not living in Old Testament times anymore." And then, okay, well, you would then quote Romans chapter 1, where Paul talks about Sodom, and he says, "Worthy of destruction." Well, you're misinterpreting St. Paul. And they would just, my biggest enemies at that time, from the years 2013 all the way, I would say, until 2018. 2018 is when I began to notice a big shift in American political discourse and the whole zeitgeist that we're living in. But from the years 2013, I would say, until 2018, my biggest enemies, my biggest detractors were evangelical Christians and Roman Catholics. They were my biggest disagreeers. They were the ones who went against me the most, more than liberals, more than anyone. And they were all extremely sympathetic to Sodom. Extremely sympathetic to Sodom, to the point where they were saying, "Oh, you can't say this. This is terrible, blah, blah, blah." So there was a lot of pressure to embrace Sodom, and there was a lot of pressure to be sympathetic to Sodom. And I just remembered that line from Jesus, because it was a very popular argument to utilize. A very popular argument to utilize, I remember, was, "Well, Jesus never brought up Sodom." And that's what they would always say. "Well, Jesus never brought it up. This was not a..." And you would see Christians making these arguments, so-called Christians making these arguments. "Well, Jesus never talked about Sodom. He never talked about that. So what are you talking about?" And I would just tell them, "Well, he did talk about Sodom." Because when the disciples asked Jesus, "Well, Jesus, tell us about the end. Tell us about the end of the world." Jesus said, "Remember Lot's wife."
Yes.
That's
I've
it.
been remembering that ever since I remember you saying that in the video, and that hit hard with me in a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad it did. And Jesus said, "Remember Lot's wife." And he didn't have to elaborate further, because we all know what Jesus was talking about. If you read the story, Lot and his wife are told, "Flee Sodom as it's being destroyed, and do not look back. Don't look back to Sodom." And then Lot's wife turns back. And why did Lot's wife turn her head back towards Sodom? It's because Lot's wife was sympathetic to Sodom. She missed it. Because Sodom at that time, believe it or not, was considered prime real estate. It was near water. And even the book of Genesis tells us that when Lot first set eyes on Sodom, he liked it because it reminded him of Egypt. And Egypt was, at that time, one of the centers, if not the center of civilization in at least the Near East, at least in the Western Asian hemisphere. And so Sodom was not this ugly place to live in. It was a metropolitan center that was probably had a very good quality of life. And it was a very wealthy area. So it was kind of like living in San Francisco. I mean, San Francisco is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. I know, because I was raised in the Bay Area and I went to San Francisco many times. It was a beautiful city. I mean, now I don't know how it is now, but it was a beautiful city, had wonderful restaurants, had an excellent culinary scene. But San Francisco was and it still is, a very evil city. So that was Sodom. And Lot's wife liked Sodom, and she turned around and she became a pillar of salt. And so Jesus did talk about Sodom. He said, remember Lot's wife. That's it.
Exactly.
So that was that one argument would really shut down that debate tactic that people would use, saying, well, Jesus didn't bring it up. But you see, at that time, 2013 until 2018, I would say, even 2012, 2011, 2010, those years, I mean, it was just Sodom was taking over America. You had gay activists going to these Christian businesses, demanding that these businesses give them products that went against Christianity, such as, for example, going to a Christian photographer in California, and I think this was in Northern California, and saying, well, we want you to take photos of our gay wedding. And the guy said, I remember it was a Thai, what's that?
Or bake them a cake or whatever.
Bake them a cake, yeah. And I remember it was this Thai American Christian guy. And he said, no, I'm not doing it. Not going to do it. And he refused. And he ended up getting hit with a lawsuit. And then before that, there was the most famous case of the Christian bakery in Colorado. And these gay activists went to this Christian business, knowing damn well what they were doing. I mean, they weren't just there just to get a service.
Let's not kid ourselves. They go out of their way to try to make a statement and mess with people's lives.
Yeah. And so they went there. They said, well, give us this gay cake, and we want Adam and Steve on the cake. And they said no. The business owner said, no, I'm not doing it. And he ended up getting hit with this $500,000 penalty. And of course, I mean, this is America. The great thing about America is that Americans are the most generous people on earth. I mean, there's no people more generous than Americans when it comes to donations and donating to specific causes. And he had a GoFundMe, and that GoFundMe helped him tremendously. But the fact is that they were using the arm of the state to exploit people and to rob people. And when I saw that, I said, we got to do something about this. So I decided in 2015, I think it was, to call up a bunch of gay bakeries. And I honestly, I didn't know that gay bakeries existed until I started embarking on this little project of mine. And I said, I'm going to call up. Go ahead.
I know it was earlier than that when you did that, because there was a website at the time, and this is how I discovered you. It was a website called the IFA, the Illinois Family Association, I think. Mm-hmm. Illinois Family something, I forget what it was, but they posted an article covering you doing that, and I'm pretty sure that was like 2013.
Oh,
so even earlier than that.
Well, no, 2013 is when I really started going against the agenda.
Okay.
But 2015 was when I did the gay bakery project, I began to call up the bakeries.
Yeah, and I'm sure that video is still somewhere.
Well, it's up on BitChute. YouTube got rid of it.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's on BitChute. My connection is weird. I don't know if your connection is doing good.
Mine's doing fine.
For some reason, I have this computer of mine. I don't know. Maybe the computer is cursed or it's retarded. But I called up this. Hold on. Let me just get rid of this. I think iMovie is up. Maybe iMovie is slowing things down. But anyway, I called up this bakery. I called up multiple bakeries. I called up 13 bakeries. And I said, I want a cake that says gay marriage is wrong. And they all denied me service. And I acted just as oblivious. I acted just as clueless as these sodomite activists did. Oh, I'm looking for a service. I'm looking for a cake, just give me a cake. Just give me a cake. And of course, none of them gave me the cake. I wasn't looking for a cake, but I was looking to make a statement. I was looking to prove a point. And that point was proved. They all denied me service, which really goes to show, you see, this whole idea about freedom and toleration is a lie. That's and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. This whole thing with how this whole, what's the word? This facade that we were presented with decades and decades ago of the liberals versus the conservatives. That the conservatives are stringent, strict, and they are controlling, and they're dominating, and they're this, and the liberals are laid back, and they're tolerant, and they're just for equality and tolerance and freedom, and the way that liberals were, but you see liberals, and I'll get to this in a moment because I've been thinking a lot about this lately. The downfall of the left, or the downfall of whatever you want to call them, progressives, liberals. You see, at one point in time, the liberals were winning big in this country.
Oh yeah, no, they were.
Yeah, they were winning big in this country, and the reason why they were winning big was because liberals were presented in a way that looked cooler than conservatives. Liberals were presented like the people in the show Friends. Remember the show Friends?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Just these laid back New Yorkers, they're in a cafe, they're funny, they want their coffee. Like, that's how liberals were presented. And to a great extent, maybe that was true for a lot of people, but that's how they were presented. And the conservatives, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe the conservatives went a little bit too hard during the Cold War, during the whole McCarthyism days. Are you a communist? Are you a communist? And they would arrest people and all this stuff. And so liberals were presented as laid back and conservatives were presented as control freaks. That's pretty much what the dichotomy was. That's how the dichotomy was presented. And then the liberals just started taking over. And Sodom was presented in this laid back, cool and collective way with certain sitcoms. There was a show I remember years ago called Will and Grace.
Yep.
And I never really watched the show, but I remember they would put the advertisements for the show on television when I was growing up in California. And Sodom was presented as funny and as energetic and as laid back, and that was all done on purpose. All of that was done on purpose to make Sodom look appealing. And I remember when I was in junior high telling people about Sodom in school. I was living in the Bay Area. I wasn't living in a red state. I wasn't living in a red zone. I was living in bluest.
You were in ground zero.
I mean, I was born and raised in the bluest zone. I was in, do you mind? I was in Blue's Clues. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was blue. Yeah. Blue sky, blue. It was the bluest of the blue. Democrats, everyone was a Democrat. It was rare to meet someone who was a Republican.
Wasn't it Eiffel 69 in the late 80s or the late 90s who had a song that was just blue?
Oh, there you go. That's the perfect analogy that I'm looking for right there.
That song popped in my mind. I had to say it.
Yeah, I'm blue. Yeah, I was in blue. I was in the blue zone, not in a good blue zone. Like, there's a term, the blue zone, for people who live up to 100 years old. They say, "Oh, that's a blue zone." Right. You have a lot of 100 years olds. No, I wish it was that, but it wasn't. It was a Democrat hot zone, and almost everyone I knew in school was pro Sodom. And if you said, "Hey, that's wrong," I mean, you were laughed at.
Yeah, you're not cool enough. You're not hip.
Yeah, you're not cool. Yeah. And I remember when I was a sixth grader in middle school, and we had this teacher who was just a big flaming Democrat. I mean, she was her name was Cindy. I'm not going to give the full name, but her name was Cindy.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Hardcore Democrat. We had two teachers in the classroom, both women. Yeah, I know. And they were both hardcore Democrats. And I remember they were, this is so funny. I remember there was a lot of people that were angry with the governor at the time. This was before Arnold Schwarzenegger became the governor of California. I remember this was Governor, what was his name? Governor, his last name was a color. Governor Gray or something. Who was it? I got to look this up real quick. Governor of California before Arnold. Who was the governor of California before Arnold? Gray Davis. I got it mixed up. His first name was a color. Yeah, Gray Davis was the governor at the time. And this is before Arnold won. And Gray Davis was, I remember, you see, because I went to church in California, and the people that I went to church with were Republicans. Because, it's church. Of course, everyone's Republican, unless you go to some bullshit fake Christian church like the Episcopalians or something.
Yeah, or Unitarian or something.
Yeah, Unitarian. Yeah, exactly. Anglican. Everyone's as a freaking Democrat. But where I went to church, everyone was a Republican. And I remember hearing the adults complaining about Governor Gray Davis, and they were saying Gray Davis is stealing our tax dollars and giving the money away to the homeless, which was probably true. This is California. Yeah, spending money on.
I live in Illinois. I'm surrounded by corruption out of Chicago, so I get.
Oh, that's worse.
Yeah,
I think Illinois is worse than California. Maybe worse. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm bragging about that. I live in a more corrupted state than you did.
Oh yeah. So I remember going to school, and I remember saying, Governor Gray Davis. I was like 11 or 12 years old. And I said, Governor Gray Davis is stealing our money and giving it to homeless people. I was like a little Ben Shapiro. Governor Gray Davis is stealing our tax dollars and giving it to the homeless. And remember Cindy, the teacher, she goes, excuse me? So yeah, he's stealing our tax dollars and giving it to the homeless. And she could have said, hey, that's not true. But she confirmed it. She goes, and what's wrong with that? I said, well, I don't want money going to some bunch of lazy bums and drug addicts on the street.
Good for you.
It was hilarious. It was like hilarious. I mean, I was Ben Shapiro before Ben Shapiro even existed. I was there. I was. I mean,
who's
even before I had
now? Who's the OG now?
Yeah, who's the OG? Yeah, I mean, before I had a blog, I don't think blogs even existed at this point. Maybe they did, but if they did, they were in a very early stage.
Probably in the baby stages, yeah.
Baby stage of blogging, yeah. I mean, I didn't have a blog. There was no YouTube. It was just mouth to mouth. And I said, well, I don't want my money going to a bunch of drug addicts and a bunch of bums on the street. And they make the streets look filthy, and they make the city look dirty and disgusting. And Cindy goes, oh, so you don't want to help the poor? I'm like, oh, they're homeless people. They're not poor. They're just a bunch of bums, blah, blah, blah. And how dare you? And this and that. And then you fast forward to 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. What were people complaining about all the time when it came to Democrat regions? Homeless bums ruining the cities. I never stopped hearing about it. I heard about how homelessness was ruining Portland, Seattle, San Francisco. The homeless bums, man, they're ruining everything. They're ruining the cities. And I'm looking at all this and I'm thinking, I was saying that when I was 11 years old, and I was getting scoffed at and berated in California for saying that. But now they're complaining about it. So I'll tell you another story. So I remember, and this is really what led to the so-called left being defeated, was this type of bullshit. Just decades of this way of thinking dominating entire swaths of America, and them making their own cities, making their own regions get flushed down the toilet. That's what it was. It really is that simple. I'll give you another example from my own experience. I remember I was in California. I was living there at the time, and I was a little bit older. I was about, let me think. I was about 14 years old at this point. And I remember getting into an argument with another student. And we were arguing not about homelessness, but we were arguing about the LGBT stuff, the Sodom stuff. And at this point, the Sodom stuff was growing more and more because I remember gay marriage was really being pushed on everyone at this point. This was back in 2000 and I want to say 2000. Let me think. Hold on. 2005. I want to say this was. So there was a lot of talk about gay marriage, and I remember at my school, at my high school that I was going to in the Bay Area, we had a day of silence.
I remember this.
Oh yeah, you had that bullshit?
No, we didn't. Not where I'm from. We didn't have it, but I just remember reading articles about it, and yeah, so I know what it is. Because see, I graduated high school in 2004, so I think. And I'm not trying to tear away from your story here.
No, go ahead.
But I think when I look back on things, I didn't really see too much of this stuff. And maybe it's based on where I'm from, because I grew up in a small country town, and which you definitely saw. There's definitely been a lot of left-wing stuff coming in now in recent years. People are showing it, but at that time, 2004. I think we were probably just maybe starting to really see this quote unquote movement of Sodom and women's rights. Well, the women's rights it's always been there for quite a while.
Right,
but, all sorts of liberal causes is what I'm getting at. That's when we started to see that stuff start to be pushed a little bit. But really, for the most part, going to school is pretty normal. Nothing really out of the ordinary or extreme. If it was very rare. But now it seems like it's every day. But no, I remember reading about the day of silence.
Okay, so you heard about it. Yeah, so we had this day of silence thing at my school, and I wondered to myself, okay, what's this day of silence stuff? And then it was explained to me, oh, this is a day of silence for Sodom. That we're all going to be quiet, or people can choose to be quiet and not say a word all day in protest for the rights of Sodom, as if the rights of Sodom were being impeded in any way. They weren't. Sodom was being pushed on everyone, and everyone and their mother was getting pushed with this Sodom stuff. So there was no impeding of Sodom at all. In fact, there was no impeding. There was no hindering of Sodom, which was the problem. But they were doing this day of silence thing. So I remember walking through the campus, and everyone who was silent, who was doing this silent protest thing, there was a benefit to it in the sense that I knew exactly who I didn't like. Like, you're quiet. Oh, I don't like you. Oh, you're quiet. Okay, you're one of those guys. And it just really exposed everyone. And I remember getting into an argument with another student, and I never forget, we were in PE, we were in physical education, and we had to walk a mile or something, and so we had to. Well, they said you could jog the mile, but they said it's just a suggestion. You can walk the mile, so we would just walk the mile. And I remember this guy and I were walking, and we were arguing about Sodom. And he said, well, we need Sodom marriage because it's freedom. And I said to him, okay, where does this stop? You know what I mean? Like, where does it stop? Is it just going to stop with 2 men and 2 women? Or are we going to get to the point where is this thing just going to escalate to where a guy will be able to marry a boy? And this is what I told him. Again, I was an OG. I was arguing this stuff before it became mainstream. But I said, are we going to get to the point where a guy is going to have the right to marry a boy? And he said, he literally told me this. He said, well, if that's their right, I mean, yeah, that's freedom. So I heard that. I thought to myself, okay, I mean, this is what liberalism is. There's no limits. There is no boundaries. There's nothing. It's not going to stop. They're just going to keep going as long as they can keep going, as long as we allow it. It's not going to stop.
You want to hear about proof of that?
Yeah.
On TLC, at one point, I don't know if these shows are still on, but at one point on the TLC show, they had not one, but two shows showing a polygamous family. You know, those two sister wives type show.
The Mormons.
Yeah. Like that. I think one dude's name was Corey Brown. And then I forget the other dude's name, but it was a black dude. I know that. Like, I think the one with the black dude was called Seeking Sister Wife or something.
It was a black guy who wanted to get into a Mormon polygamous marriage.
Yeah, it was a black guy with several black women.
Oh, one of those.
But yeah,
was he Mormon?
I never saw the show. I just saw previews for it. But
Probably one of those Nation of Islam types.
Probably it could be. But yeah, I don't know if you see many. I don't know. I would guess that there aren't many black people who are Mormons. But then again,
no, there's not a lot of them.
I mean, you know, you can be whatever denomination you want, but yeah, when I first saw it, I'm like, I don't think this dude's Mormon. Now
No.
I know that Brown dude is, that Corey Brown or whatever his name is, but still, but regardless, that's the point. TLC had two shows promoting polygamy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking the same thing that you did. And by the way, people, to those listening live right now, and to the ones who see this afterwards in, you know, pre-recorded form, this isn't all just about sodomy. We have plenty more coming.
Sure, yeah. This is just a conversation. We're just letting this thing float to where it goes.
Yes, but when the same thing that you went through, I was telling people this is going to be a slippery slope. They're going to open Pandora's box for other things. Well, now they're at the point of promoting polygamy. There's movies and shows that are promoting polyamory, which is, you know, just like polygamy, but only the whole group is married to one another. So how long before we start seeing legislative arguments for that stuff to be legal?
I mean, the thing is that the liberals had all this popularity for decades, and they dominated media. They dominated everything, arts, all that stuff, music. They dominated it. And that just went on for years and years and years and years and years. And they got gay marriage constitutionalized in 2000 and what was it, 15? Yeah, 2015. You had that. What was the name of that? Offerman versus whatever.
Oberfell or whatever.
Yeah.
I think. And
Obama signed on to it because he was pressured by the synagogue. I'm not joking, by the way. You can look at Tikkun magazine, which is a massive liberal Jewish magazine, and they put out an article saying why the Jews were the ones who got Obama to sign on to gay marriage. I'm not joking. You can look into this. They actually wrote this article, and they show exactly how there were these Sodom Jewish, synagogue of Satan, Jewish Sodom lobbies and activists who were pressuring the president to sign on to it, and he acquiesced to their demands. And so it really goes to show that St. John was right in the book of Revelation. He said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which is Sodom and Egypt. Sodom. He calls Jerusalem Sodom. So Obama signed on to it under pressure from the synagogue. And I remember there were a lot of people who said, oh, this is great. This is amazing. And that's when, and before this, when the Sodom issue became popular. So 2013, 14, 15, 16, when the Sodom issue became popular, the agents of Sodom went into full gear. Yeah. And all of that, being low-toned and nice and tolerant, all that shit went out the window. All that stuff went out the window. And they said, well, if you're not going to bake the cake, we're going to use the state to rob you and exploit you. We're going to use the state to impoverish you and steal your money, $500,000. Well, you were this Christian bakery. You didn't want to make us a cake that said Adam and Steve on it, so we're gonna use the arm of the state to slap $500,000 fine on you, and that is going to be justified because we're going to say, well, it's for psychological damages and all this bullshit. So they really showed their hand. which is what all of these evil groups do. I don't care if it's Mormons. I don't care if it's Sodom. I don't care if it's Islam. I don't care if it's the Jews. Yeah, we can talk about that. I don't care who the fuck it is. Once they you mind if I cuss a little bit?
I'm Irish, dude. Go
okay,
right
there
ahead.
you go.
It's called the Open Tab Podcast, which I gotta say, you're part of history. This is the first official episode of the Open Tab Podcast. Why is it the Open Tab? Pretend we're in a bar setting. Tabs open. We're never cut off here, buddy. Nothing's cut off on this channel.
Awesome. I love it. So for some reason, some people are complaining about low frame rate. I don't know why, but my internet.
I've noticed it gets a little grainy.
I don't know why. I can try to fix it real quick. Dropped frame. Let me just try to hold on. I'm not gonna stop the stream, but let me just.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me see if I can fix this real quick. I don't know. These freaking Apple computers suck. They used to be really good, and now they just suck.
I've never had an Apple product, to be honest with you, so I couldn't tell you.
Oh, I don't. I envy you. What kind of computer do you have?
Well, my brother got me this one. Let me check the brand name. Oh, there it is. View Edge.
Let me look this.
Yeah, View Edge.
Google Chrome. Let me hold on. I think I could probably fix. I think the problem is I have OBS and I have. Let me just get rid of some of these windows, and I'll keep our interview up. I got all these windows open. Maybe that's the reason why. But I never used to have this issue at all with Apple computers. Never used to have these issues at all. I had a model that was made in 2015 that lasted me for 7 years. I had it for. I mean, I could have prolonged it, but I had it for 7 years, and I never really had a serious issue with it until it reached its 7th year. And it went on. It never once gave me these issues. It never gave me this weird frame rate. Never gave me this slow and annoying frame rate. Right now I'm 30 frames per second. Let me see. Is it looking better, guy? I think it's looking better. I'm not seeing any issues here. So I got rid of all the windows. I think that helped a lot. I
mean, there's still a little. I'm seeing a little graininess on your screen. Nothing horrible.
Okay.
But there's some moments where you do freeze a tad bit.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand.
But even the times when you do freeze a little bit, you're, I'm still hearing your audio, and it's
right.
Good, I'm not the best with terminology, so.
No, I totally understand. I'm force quitting some applications here. Quit. Let me see. Finder. Have you have a PS2? Okay, yeah. I was thinking you could play this Lord of the Rings game that I played years ago. It's really good. It's called Shadows of War. It's an amazing game. I absolutely love it. Let me see here. Dictionary. Yeah, I don't have much going on right now. So I'm gonna get rid of my activity monitor. That should work. I think it's better now. How's it looking? Let me see. All right, I'm moving around. I don't see anything.
I see some graininess around you, like on your.
No, the audio is working. Someone's saying no audio. No. The audio, guys. Oh my god, I don't know why I keep having this issue with my audio. My audio is fine.
I hear you loud and clear.
All right, I think we're good. The frame rate's working. Let me see here. Dropped frame 22%. I think we're good. I think we're fine. I think we're going to continue on. So,
I mean, I can adjust my thing here, see if it helps. I don't know if it's something on my end.
I don't think it's you. I don't think it's you. I think it's a me problem here. It's
It happens. It happens. The bottom line,
we're good.
The bottom line is everybody sees you. We're hearing you loud and clear.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not the perfect picture in the world from my end, but everybody can tell it's you.
But you can see me. We're good.
Yes, I can see you.
But is the image good?
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's not
right.
perfect, but I can hear you just fine. See you just fine.
Okay, audio is working. Audio is fine. Video a little choppy at times.
Yeah, video is just a little.
I mean, it's working. It's looking good for me.
Yeah, it just gets a little.
Hold on. Well, you see, this is the problem when you have a computer that is made with whatever, with somewhat shitty quality. And I got an Apple computer, which I mean, Apple's not really as good as it used to be. But I'm looking at my stream right now, and it's looking okay. Anyway, we're just going to continue on. If it's a little choppy, whatever. I don't know what else to do. But anyway, so basically, yeah, like everybody thought it was great that we had all this the Sodom marriage stuff and all this. And once the agents of Sodom, the acolytes of Sodom, became very confident because they saw that America was embracing them. They saw how even the American Republican Party was embracing Sodom. I don't know if you remember this, but when Romney was running for president, there was this thing called the Log Cabin Republicans.
Oh yes,
and it was just it was just the gay Republicans. And I remember Steve Crowder was promoting them, and Glenn Beck was promoting them and pushing them. And the Sodom saw that it was winning, and so the acolytes of Sodom thought, we're just going to go full blast. We're going to go into third gear on what we want to do. And I remember in 2017-ish, late 2017, going into 2018, the trans movement started rising up.
Yeah.
And they were pushing the trans stuff. And people in Hollywood and these big companies, Target, etc., they thought, wow, this is the time that we can really just push wokeism. Because they thought Sodom is really popular. I mean, we got conservatives who are embracing this log cabin Republican stuff, and let's just do it. I think they just went full blast with it. So they were pushing all this trans stuff and gay characters and making things. They wanted to make everything gay. Movies, video games, music, everything had to be gay. And they really played their hand. They overplayed their hand. And they pushed it to the point where it backfired on them. And thus began the anti-woke phenomenon that we saw really, really exploding, I would say, from the years of 2020 all the way up to 2023. 2020, 2023, 2024, we really started seeing this anti-woke stuff become popular. And the anti-woke movement was crushing the wokest. And I remember in 2019, going to the mall in June. I remember June is supposed to be this Pride Month nonsense. Right. And I remember going to the mall, and they had all the flags and the LGBT flags and all that stuff. And I remember thinking, okay, this is, I mean, they're just really just showing off. They're basically saying we can do what we want. All the stores are going to put our flags up. And then remember the Bud Light controversy?
Oh yeah, with
Kid Rock,
that freak with that Dylan Mulvaney freak.
Yeah. They put this freak on the Bud Light can or whatever. Yeah. And Kid Rock basically killed wokeism to a certain extent. He kind of finished it off, and it was already being defeated at this point, but Kid Rock finished it off. And he did this video where he got a bunch of beer cans, Bud Light beer cans, and he just shot them all. And he said something like "fuck Anheuser-Busch" or whatever. Yeah, Anheuser-Busch. And that video went viral. I mean, people just went nuts for it. And I remember going to Target a year later in June. And I wanted to see specifically, I went to Target to specifically see, I went there to get some stuff, but I wanted to see, are they going to do this Pride stuff like they did in the prior years? And I only saw, the whole time I was there, I only saw one tiny little Pride flag that was hidden somewhere on a mannequin.
Yep.
Barely even notice it. And I remember going to the mall in June. I think it was last year or the year before last year. I went to the mall in June. All that Pride stuff was gone. I didn't see it.
It's funny
and if
how
it
that
was there, it was something that was so minuscule that I didn't notice it.
I do want to let you know real quick, there are times where you are freezing a little bit.
Oh, God. I don't know why this is happening. The thing is that I cleaned out my system. I have plenty of storage on my computer. I have 994 gigabytes in this computer. That's plenty.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is happening. You know what I need to do?
What's that?
I think I need to lower my frame rate, but I can't do it in the middle of the live stream. It won't let me. But hold on, it's telling me that my kbps is doing pretty well. So I mean, how are we looking now? Oh, it went down. Speaking.
I mean, as long as the audio is coming through, that's all I care about. But I still felt you should know.
Yeah, the audio's going in just fine. Yeah, okay, I appreciate that. But yeah, the audio's going in just fine.
Yeah, but
the audio is fine. We're just gonna, you know what, guys? This is an audio interview, all right? Just think of it that way.
Okay, that's fair. But I remember that too. All the Pride stuff was gone. But I gotta tell you something. It's interesting that you mentioned Kid Rock, because what's funny is he goes on that crusade. He goes on that crusade, shooting the beer cans and all that. But then I don't know how long it was after that, you see him at a concert or somewhere drinking a Bud Light.
Well, yeah, he said later, like, Anheuser's cool now, so we're done. They fixed it, and that's it. It's over. That's what he said. I remember.
Okay, because I just remember seeing it. I'm like, what are you doing, Kid Rock? Oh, it's funny.
Whatever, but my point is that it backfired, and I remember all these Americans were complaining about wokeism. Oh, the left, they've destroyed everything. You know, they got the homeless bums everywhere, and they got all these drug addicts everywhere, and the wokeism stuff is crazy. They're going after our children. It's like, yeah, that's what we were fucking warning you guys about for decades, and no one listened. Nobody listened. No one listened. And nobody cared.
In particular, all those liberal hipster type women who had their little gay friends in their clique that they treated like accessories. We tried to tell you, and you wouldn't listen. Let me tell you some of my experiences, Ted, if you don't mind. I'm not trying to interrupt.
No, go ahead. No. This is a conversation. You don't have to say anything.
Well, I'm just one who likes to, not be rude and polite.
I understand.
But I've had my own experiences with this stuff. Two things. The first one, I really got to see who these people truly are, whether it's wokeist, BLM, Sodom, take your pick.
Right.
They talk about tolerance and how tolerant they are. Well, as we've been discussing, they really ain't so tolerant.
Nope.
Because I remember one of my friends from back in the day. He was a new teacher in town, just started a new job. And he had a friend from college who was gay. Invited him over to his house. We were playing video games, all that. Okay, I didn't care. I was still at a point where I never was pro Sodom, but there was a point in my life where I just did not care one way or the other, where I should have. But it was when I saw this that care started to really come back. It really started to come into me and realize, okay, this is not all about peace and love. It's not. But I remember this guy asked me if I could take him to the gas station, get some something to drink and some cigarettes. I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem, hop in. And we were talking, and I tried to explain. He was just explaining to me his perspective and whatnot. And I explained mine, or at least tried to. I said, yeah, dude, I want you to know I am a Christian man. I don't support what you do, but I have no problem with you as a person. I try telling him that, which I thought I believed at the time. He wouldn't hear any of it. He would not listen to one damn word I was saying. He never cursed me out or anything, but he would just cut me off, stop me. And that was kind of like that night where I had an epiphany. This guy doesn't want to hear a word that I have to say.
No.
He doesn't want to hear my perspective. He doesn't want to hear my beliefs. And it's been the same way over the years too, with people who are all about BLM and the trans stuff, which trans and Sodom, it's the same damn thing.
No difference.
Yeah, and the women who love abortion, stuff like that. They don't care about your opinion. So that night when this guy showed his true colors. This guy showed his true colors, what he was really about, when he's not going to let me explain my position at all. And even respectfully, I realized this guy has one agenda. He's showing it right now. The second story is this. Right. One of my good buddies, and this says a lot about not only the Sodom agenda, but eugenics. So a good buddy of mine used to be married to this girl who was very into makeup, and she was trying to break into the makeup business. Self-explanatory. Who runs the makeup business? Sodom. Yep.
Right.
Sodom. I mean, come on. It's just, and she even admitted that herself. She even said once, she's like, listen, Sean, you're accurate on that, because I've had people tell me, if you're not a gay guy, then you have no chance of making it in the makeup business. But I digress. But this one night, and this buddy of mine is a liberal guy. It's now his ex-wife. She is too, very much. And we were having a discussion about this, pleading my case, them pleading theirs. It's 2-on-1, so outnumbered. And so I say, and this my buddy's ex-wife, I could tell, like exactly what I described, the liberal hip woman who has gay friends in her group of friends just to show off like accessories, like a new shade of lipstick.
The nicest person ever.
Yes. And so I asked her, I'm like, I'll just call her Anna. Not going to use real names. I'm like, Anna, tell me something. You're all about these guys and hanging out with them and associating with them. Is it because of who they are as people, or just because of what this act that they practice? What attracts you to these people, to hang out with these people? And this is what she told me, no joke. She said to me, oh, Sean, I hope for more gay sex because we're already overpopulated enough as it is. So the more gay sex, the better. I shit you not, Terry.
Oh my God. I believe you. No, I totally believe you. I've heard all sorts of crazy things.
And I was like, really? You want more guys to bang each other's rears just so we can be less populated? I'm like, you know how sick that is, right? She didn't care.
It's anti-human.
Yeah. No, she never had kids with my buddy, but she really came off to me as a type of girl who would purposely get herself knocked up and have an abortion just so she could brag about it. That's how she came off.
Which is evil.
Oh, she was very evil. I mean, there's a reason they divorced.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, the thing is that it's just the liberals were allowed to have all of this power, and they were allowed to do what they wanted, and they just went full throttle. And they always used to say, well, we're not going to go after children. That's not going to, oh, no, we would never do that. And then, I don't know if you remember this, but back in, I want to say 2019, 2020 or whatever, there was this video that went viral from San Francisco showing all these Sodom choir singers literally singing, we're going after your children. We will come after your children. Just blatantly saying, we're going after your children.
Well,
that video went viral.
Well, what I'm about to say was long before any of that. Remember that?
No, it's been going on for a while.
Yeah, but yeah, the what do they call it? It was the opening to this. This is back in the 80s. There was that book written by these two college students, or a manuscript, whatever, and the narration was in reference to Sodom. We will enter your locker rooms. We will enter the military. We will do this.
I remember that. Yeah. But
yes, I remember that choir very much, and it's true. It's true. Not after the choir. Look at what we've seen happen. We're seeing drag kids on TV. There was a drag kid on Good Morning America. He's like 11 years old. Walking
down
there
for a second. Hello? Mm-hmm. Your connection is a little bit it went down a little bit there.
Oh, mine did?
Yeah, your connection. You cut off for a few seconds. What were you saying? You said that what did you say right before saying he's 11 years old?
No, I just was saying, am I good now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. Maybe there's a little bit of what you call it, I don't know, a lag or something. Anyway, this kid, this is like an 11, 12-year-old kid. He was on Good Morning America, dressed up like a girl, walking down this little walkway or whatever, sexually. And everybody's applauding him. I mean, this is like, Michael Strahan, and I forget who else is on Good Morning America now, but they're applauding this kid. And I'm like, what's wrong with you people? This is so wrong. No kid should be doing this. And not to mention, you have all the drag queens reading stories to kids in libraries. And
what does Paul say? And see, this is the reason why the Christians allowed for this thing to go to the extent that it has, is they hate, and this is what I learned about evangelicals and Roman Catholics. Didn't take me very long to figure this out, but eventually I learned this about them, just from dealing with them, dealing with evangelicals, dealing with Roman Catholics, is they hate the Bible. They do. They hate the Bible. They hate when Paul says in Romans chapter 1, he talks about Sodom and he says, worthy of destruction. And when someone says, hey, look at what Paul says here, they don't want to talk about it. And I've never once heard an evangelical pastor quote that line from Romans. And when it comes to Roman Catholic priests, I never once heard an American Roman Catholic priest quote that verse. I did hear one Italian Catholic priest quote that verse. And do you know what happened? He ended up being removed from his position, and they moved him out somewhere else. Because I remember the mainstream media in Italy was attacking him, saying that he was homophobic for quoting Paul. He was just quoting Paul. He didn't say anything else. He just quoted St. Paul from Romans 1. And for quoting Paul, his own superiors removed him from his position wherever he was in Italy. They removed him from the diocese that he was working in, and they moved him somewhere else for that very reason.
That's messed up.
I mean, but it reveals everything, and so here's the thing: is it was at that time 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, those years, and you can even go a little bit before that. You can go back to you can go back to 2009, 2010. For those years, it was extremely unpopular to speak out against Sodom. I know this from experience. It was very unpopular. It didn't matter if you were in the liberal circles. It didn't matter if you were in the secular circles or in the Republican circles, Democrat circles, Christian circles, Catholic circles. It didn't matter. Maybe the Orthodox, it was different because at that time, Orthodoxy was still sort of confound to the Slavic world. Greece is a little bit different, but it was just not popular. I know this from experience. It was very unpopular. And like I said, the ones who went against me the most were the evangelicals and the Roman Catholics. And now it's popular to speak out against Sodom. I don't know if you noticed this, but now it's popular. 2024, 2025. And then before that, 2023, 2022, it became popular to speak out against Sodom. And all the evangelicals started talking against wokeism and the trans movement. Well, why weren't they speaking out this enthusiastically in 2013 or 2014 or 15 or 16 or 17? Why weren't they speaking with that much energy in those years? But now they are, because right now it's trendy. It's trendy to speak out against Sodom.
That's the reason why. And just like it was trendy to speak in favor of it. I mean, it was
trendy to speak in favor of it.
It's always been a trend, especially, like I said, I'm not trying to sound sexist here, but it was a big, big trend, especially with women. Women loved their Sodom friends. They loved them.
Yeah, everyone had a Sodom. Every woman had a Sodom friend. Every woman had a Sodom cousin, and you had to respect that and all that bullshit. I remember there was a girl that I was dating back in 2014, and I was at her brother's house, and we were playing video games. And her brother was engaged to this Chinese girl. And we were playing video games, and we were playing a fighting game where it would be 2 versus 2. So you had 4 controllers, 2 versus 2. And I remember I was tag teaming with the girl's brother. And so the girl's brother was engaged to this Chinese girl. She had a brother. And he was playing the game, and he was on the other team. So I'm playing the game, and I'm joking around. I'm saying, okay, guys, we got to beat them. This other team that we're fighting, this is Sodom and Gomorrah. All right? This is Sodom and Gomorrah. And if we don't win, Sodom's going to win. We got to beat them. We can't lose this thing. We can't lose this thing. And this Chinese guy says, I've had enough, drops the controller, gets up, walks off. And I said, what's that guy's problem? And the girl that I was seeing at the time, her mom was there. And her mom said, he's gay. I said, really? No one told me. Even if they did, I wouldn't care. But he's gay. So everyone had a gay brother, gay this. It was everyone did. Now I don't hear, listen, I don't hear a peep from these people anymore. I don't hear a peep from them. Nothing. What happened to them? They're gone.
Well,
because because the left pushed it to the point where it became no longer popular. Because once you start, and the Christians, believe it or not, I know the conservatives are winning right now, but the conservatives can fall for the same trap. Once you become popular and you get overly confident and you start telling people what to do, you lose.
Yeah. Because they're like, I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah, so that's what happened to the conservatives back in the day. They got into this McCarthyism thing, and everyone was a communist, and everyone was suspected of being a communist, and eventually liberals rose up. Liberals became popular. Liberals became trendy and cool and hip. And now what's trendy and cool and hip is being Christian and conservative. And that's a good thing. I'm glad this is happening. But conservatives better watch it, better learn this lesson and really, keep it cool.
Yeah, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn from past mistakes.
Yeah,
but of course, even conservatives, there's been some fraudulent ones that I've encountered in my life, and like this is kind of connected to what we're talking about. But I remember I was at my older brother's house one time. We were having a discussion about. I think this was around the time of Trump's first election. Mm-hmm. And somehow Sodom got brought up and all this stuff.
Always did.
Yeah, it always does. That, abortion. Mm-hmm. What's another big one that always? It's taxes, whatever. There's always the basic stuff. And I was speaking out against it like, hey, man, this stuff is so wrong. It's because already they showed who they were with the kid going, indoctrinating kids with it, putting it on kid shows, all that stuff. And I'm like, who do these people think they are? They're getting everything they wanted at that time. Like, they're getting everything they want. They're being pushed everywhere. They have the nerve to still call themselves victims when they're the ones pretty much running the show, thanks to their backers. No, screw these people. I'm not speaking favorably of them. And my brother says to me, well, Sean, don't you know we have a cousin who's gay? And I asked who it was. And I said, and I'm not going to give his name, but I'm like, who is it? He goes, well, so-and-so is. I'm like, so? Why should I stop my Christian morality just because someone in our family went an opposite direction?
Yeah.
No. I mean, and this isn't just because of the Sodom issue. This is because, conservative versus liberal, BLM versus non-BLM, ICE versus non-ICE. You take your pick. You take your pick. I've lost friends. I've lost family relationships. And you know what? It sucks, but you are not going to compromise my Christian morality and my thoughts on these things for anything. Not going to happen.
Well, and there another group of people that really played their hand were the Zionists.
They are behind a lot of things, and I'm glad you brought that up because originally I was going to start the I didn't know you were going to go live right away, but this is going to be my first question. I even had a little intro planned out and everything.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. I'm just messing with you. But it was going to go like, welcome everyone to the Open Tab podcast. The tab is open. You're never cut off, like I said earlier. And